Hello, we welcome you once again to Universal Heritage Television Nigeria. We are here with our program, Daybreak Nigeria, our breakfast show. I have two gentlemen to discuss an issue, that is the continued incarceration of Nonsonkwa, popularly known as Nonsonkwa. They are Barrister Mike Oti. Barrister Oti, you are welcome to.
Thank you very much for having me on this show. Good day, Nigerians.
Next to him is Duru Daniels, a radio presenter and public opinion analyst. Duru Daniels, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much for bringing me to the program. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Imo and Nigeria people.
Yeah, my name is Afam Echi, your host. Please remember to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube platform. Barrister, let me start with you. It's over 1 month now that Chinonso, an on-air presenter, has been incarcerated, and the state government petitioned the federal authorities over what they called criminal libel or something like that. You are a lawyer, you should tell us better. Now, we want to find out, the minds are agitated that contrary to what our law says, he has been there beyond the allowed period. What do you think are the issues that has kept him there, and are they right?
Well, from the perspective of law, it is absolutely wrong. The law does not envisage that a citizen of this country could be arrested and incarcerated for such a very long time. A month is a very long time to keep somebody in detention. That is flagrant infraction of the constitutionally approved rights, that's fundamental rights of the citizens. Like Nonsonkwa, as is popularly called, is entitled to freedom of movement, freedom of right to personal liberty, and he is also entitled to respect to the dignity of his human person. These are constitutional rights established in our Nigerian Constitution, 1999, in Section 34, Section 35, and Section 39. So there are obvious infractions of the fundamental rights of the radio presenter. And I call on the authorities who are keeping him to quickly release him. It is anti-democratic, it is unlawful, it is illegal, it is reckless, and absolutely condemnable. It is very wrong to keep a citizen of this country in detention. If you have any case against him, if you believe he has probably broken any law, if you think that he has committed a crime, he has committed an offense, the right thing to do is to bring him to court. The law says within 48 hours, depending on the radius and location of the court from where he is being detained. But that is the law for you in Section 34, subsection 2. It says bring him to court within 48 hours. That's 2 days. And beyond 2 days, we have kept him for over 27 days, in addition to the 2 days. So that is reckless in all. There is no reasonable human being. Anybody who sees that as normal is himself not normal. That is how I summarize it.
Okay. Duru Daniels, you see, except the human rights groups and the civil society groups we have in the state, it is not known that political leaders or religious leaders and other stakeholders in the state are involved in any intervention activity to free Nonso. And people are worried because Nonso appears to be a fan of these people. Maybe if you talk about the religious leaders, the people that go to church and all the other adherents, he has been speaking for the masses. But today, they appear to have deserted him. I don't know if you have anything to say concerning that.
Yes, you are very correct. The truth about it is that apart from the civil society groups here in Imo and even beyond Imo, the political class have not really done much. They have not done enough. They have not really lived up to the expectation of the people in this matter, because a lot of people are really looking up to them to either lend their voice or take actions, meaningful actions that will help to bring out this young man. And just like Barrister said, it's very clear. It doesn't, no matter how anybody tries to look at it, the real situation of things as it stands now is that he is unlawfully being detained. So that one is has been ascertained, it has been confirmed, and the reason for his continuous detention is what Imo people are really worried about. They want to really know why the government, the state government, has continued to keep him behind bars. And then the question you ask, I may not be able to say the reason why the political class have not really done enough. Maybe because of the forthcoming gubernatorial election in Imo State. Maybe they are afraid not to, I don't just know, but I think the people are really looking up to them to do something in this direction, in the direction of making sure that Nonsonkwa regains freedom.
Mr. Mike, do you have anything to say concerning that?
Well, I think I have heard one or two of them make public statements, granted public, statements or interviews, condemning the act. At least I have read that of Atanachon, the Labour Party candidate.
Okay.
So it is a welcome development. I am enjoying others to also speak up. If you don't speak up, what it means is that you are in the mode of the people who are arrested Nonsonkwa. If you keep quiet, what it means is that you like it. If you were in the shoes of the people who arrested Nonsonkwa, you would have also done same. That is the implication. So what the arrest, unlawful arrest and detention of Chinonsoba is something that should be condemned by all segments of Imo citizenry. I am aware that the masses are as worried as we are in this studio. Because if you, in the trenches, if you go down to the villages, if you go to the hamlets, it is discussed every day. People discuss it and people are worried. It's just that they don't have that platform, or there is no trigger that will bring masses together, to stage a public protest and register their dissatisfaction and grievance with the reign of totalitarianism, the reign of terror in the state. If not, otherwise, if you go down to the village, you will attest to the fact that the masses are not happy. People every day discuss this detention and unlawful treatment meted out to Chinonsoba. They are not happy. My masses are not happy. At least I've heard numerous people condemn it in the street. If you enter the street, you know what I'm talking about. But like you said, the political class, they have not done enough. And those are the people who are supposed to probably muster this protest against unnecessary infraction of people's rights.
Okay, as a lawyer, I'm staying with you, Barrister. As a lawyer, you and Duru Daniels have agreed that Nonsonkwa is unlawfully detained. And even when I got to know that he has been granted bail and he's still being detained. Now, what does that speak about our justice system? As a lawyer, can you appraise our justice system and know how it is placed, for us to know how it is placed?
You see, well, I wouldn't, in the face of what is happening to Nonsonkwa, condemn the justice system. If you go to court, if anybody, because as it stands now, even as he's not free, anybody can go to court, file a suit for the enforcement of the fundamental rights of Nonsonkwa, any citizen of Nigeria, by virtue of our fundamental rights enforcement procedure rules, which is operational today, any citizen of this country can go to court, file a suit for the enforcement of the rights of Nonsonkwa. But the question is, after, because if you go to court, that's definitely court will award damages, aggravated damages against those who arrested him and detained him. But the question is implementation, enforcement. You see, law enforcement is where the problem is. Because after a judgment is delivered, you now move to execute the judgment. How do you execute judgment? You get police, which is law enforcement agency, in to execute the judgment. At that stage, you will see them withdraw the police. The people who are, committing these unlawful acts, they will, at that point, try to frustrate the execution of the judgment. But I am certain that if I go to court today for the enforcement of the rights of Nonsonkwa, court will not award anything less than 5 million or at least 2 million against the authorities that arrested him and detained him unlawfully, because it was a clear case of infraction. And I bet you no court will close its eyes. There is no high court that will close its eyes to this obvious infraction. So after you get the judgment, to enforce it is where they frustrate it. Okay, of course, what is, the case of, the plight of Nnamdi Kanu. Court has done its part. So will you now say it's the justice system that is keeping Nnamdi Kanu there? It's not the justice system that is keeping him there. It is the law enforcement process. Because if you get a judgment, the next thing you talk about is execution. How do you execute judgment? You now go to the court to enter what you call FIFE. If you enter FIFE, you fill it. Then you bring in the court, sheriffs of court and all that. If you get them involved, do you understand? Then the next thing is to get police, because you can't go to enforce without police. Now, the question is, there is no way you get this judgment without involving police. What I mean is, if you, assuming the person that arrested Nonsonkwa, you put his name, or the complainant rather, you put the name of the complainant, the next person you will put is the police that arrested him. Because that's why when you look at most fundamental rights actions, what you see there is commissioner of police. If you see the first respondent will be the complainant, the person who made the false allegation against the person that was unlawfully detained. Then the next person you will see is there is commissioner of police, and probably the names of the police officers that effected the arrest. In some cases, Inspector General of Police, because of probably when you want to go for execution and enforcement, you will need Police Service Commission and all that. So you get all of them, involved. So after getting the judgment against the complainant and then police, you will still need police to do the enforcement. That is why somebody like me, over time, my agitation and my crusade has been make this institution strong. Today, if you go to the United States, you do not need FBI, do you understand, to make a clean case against the President of the United States of America. Of course, you are aware of what happened to Donald Trump and all that.
Yeah, let me help you there. Durudana has been angling to say something on this.
Yes, I was only trying to react to a point he made, talking about the justice system and the challenge we often face when it comes to implementation. And I know he's talking because that is his jurisdiction. That is his area of specialty. And I had wanted to ask him, since we already know that there is a problem when it comes to implementation, because when you get the whole of beautiful judgment, wonderful judgment, without them getting implemented, it amounts to nothing. Becomes what ironically could be called a beautiful nonsense. Then is the judiciary or is the judicial system not worried about this impediment? And then what has the judiciary done? Because this is what Nigerians have oftentimes faced, and why it's part of the reason why the people are already losing faith in the judiciary.
Well, let me come in there. You may not need to interrogate him because
Okay.
you're not. So what actually you are saying, what I understand, Barristotti, is you see, people talk about enforcement. Now, the government system operates in a way that there are different arms.
Sure.
And then every of the units have their responsibilities. So it is the executive arm of the government that is vested with this responsibility of enforcing the laws, in which case they have been failing. And there are situations like he cited the case of Nnamdi Kanu, and so many other cases where judgments are levied against the executive arm of the government, the governors, and they will just frustrate it, and it doesn't happen.
Well, he has already given a proffered a solution to the problem. Strong institution. I heard when he mentioned it. Because if you have strong institutions, definitely.
That, maybe the recklessness of the executive arm of government is behind what we are facing.
That is very clear. It is not. It's not debatable. You see, let me tell you, and that is why, at all times, the citizens must ensure that reckless and irresponsible people are not given access to power. Because when you get a man who is very reckless, who is very responsible, who has notoriety to crime, and in most cases, who are political bandits, you get them into executive position. They use the maximum powers, of the state to suppress the masses.
Yeah,
that's usually what.
But most times, it's not the people that take them there.
No, let me ask you, Barristotti.
Yes.
I don't think that the judicial system is excluded from this recklessness, because we have also seen a situation where you call it a kangaroo judgment, or this Jankara you just go there and obtain. Because of under the same jurisdiction, we'll give one judgment. On the same level of authority, we'll give one judgment.
You go to another court.
You see, the truth is that I am not in any way. I am not. In fact, let me remind you that if you are my friend on Facebook as far back as 2009, 2010. Okay. Sorry, 2019, 2020. You will know that even what I posted after Supreme Court delivered judgment in that of Imo State, we are shared in different, WhatsApp groups. Okay. They were shared in different WhatsApp groups. I was one of the first persons. I wouldn't say I was the first person, but I was one of the first persons that evening after listening to that judgment. Without reading the judgment, without taking time to read the details of the judgment, I went to my wall and posted something devastating against Nigerian judiciary. And the reason is that there were laws. Yes. Do you understand? Yes. In the course of that judgment, that were interpreted upside down. Okay. Do you understand? I did not waste time in taking swipe against the juries. Do you understand? They involved in that recklessness. Okay. Do you understand? So I am not one of those persons that will shield any corrupt judge. I know it as a fact that there are judicial officers who are not living above board. I also know that there are incorruptible judges in this country.
Okay, let's move on from that point. Duru Dennis, you see, the Nonsonkwa experience, people have said that is an example they want to show to Imo journalists, to Imo media, and that is a gag on the press. I don't know the implication of that for you, how you look at it, the implication for press freedom.
Yes, for me, that's the terrifying angle of this whole thing, this whole issue we are discussing this afternoon. It's really, really worrisome, because today is Nonsonkwa. Nobody knows who will be the next victim of this executive rascality that we are discussing this afternoon. So it's obvious that if at the end of the day the government have its way, the way it wanted on this matter, definitely it will now be, it will really put fears in the mind of other people who are doing maybe similar things to what Nonso was doing before now. I mean, people who have been very vocal or who are critics to the state government and all of that, including the journalists who will, want to objectively give reportage of what's going on in the state. So it's really worrisome, and that is the reason why every well-meaning Imo lights, rather, should really not sit on the fence on this matter, should do something to condemn this, not just condemn it. If there's any action you can take to really point at this and say it is wrong, and see to the end of it that the state government does not have its way, then that will be good for all of us. Because, like I said earlier, it's also today, nobody is very sure of who will be the next victim. Because at the end of the day, it will be like, yes, he was dealt with such and so way, and you are coming up. Take a look at what happened to him. That's the same way, and you can imagine when that that begins to ring a bell in the mind of other people who are in the same profession. So it's a very big problem to press freedom in Imo State, and that is why I think all of us are condemning it. And then let me use the opportunity to give our people information, a kind of update on the matter so far. As at yesterday, of course, before now, we were told, we reliably gathered that the state government is saying that Nonsonkwa will tender apology. And in fact, that has been the basis of their negotiation. Because I wouldn't want to mention name, but there were some interventions, people who are trying to come to a round table with the state government on behalf of Nonso, and this is the condition that the state government is bringing to the table, that he should tender an apology. And people are now asking, apology for what? Is it apology for saying what is not true, or is it apology for saying the truth? And then it's not just for him to tender apology, but for him to also even go to the social media and retract whatever he said. Now, apart from this, of course, I don't know if you have heard that or have come across that the courts, the High Court in Abuja that granted him bail, or that ordered for his release, that the IGP, instead of obeying that court order, decided to give condition, a very difficult condition for his release, asking him to get a permanent secretary that is resident in Abuja, and also get the sum of 22 million naira. And this was as at I think Friday last week. So this is the situation at the moment, but we also gather that the legal team of Nonso, they are also trying to contest the bail condition, which is very I don't know the right ways to qualify it.
Okay, drawing from what you said, Barrister Oti, is it right, is it appropriate for the police IGP to vary the bail condition?
He has no such right. That is reckless of him. It's irresponsible of the occupant of that office.
That's if
if that is correct. I do not know how true this information is.
This information is coming from his legal team.
But if it is true, it shows the level of rascality of people we appoint into positions of relevance. An IGP who is supposed to be there for the masses, to secure the masses, secure the property, who is kept there by taxpayers' money, is being so reckless in detaining a citizen, giving difficult conditions for bail. Who is IGP to make a pronouncement on conditions after a bail has granted an order for immediate release? That is reckless of the person of the IGP, if that is correct.
Yeah, but what do you think we will still be keeping Nonso there even after bail has been granted to meet the...
Well, I am aware that it is the irresponsible politicians that we have, who had their way to power. Let me not say we are, because we didn't elect them. Yeah. I like being very blunt about these issues. Yeah. We never elected these people who are doing all this. They found their way to power, and they are now using the machinery of the state to oppress the citizens, because in the first place, the citizens saw them irresponsible to be appointed, to be elected into such positions. So now that they found their way by crook or foul means, whether it is the court that brought them, the other court also partook in the crook and foul means. That, you know, they are now using the machinery of the state to suppress the citizens, punish the citizens for not electing them. I think that's the way I'm looking at it. Again, Nonsonkwa is paying a price, because I am aware that great men pass through this path he's going through now. So if sometimes I ponder to also think that it is to his favor, because don't forget that Ikenga, Ikawon, who is in House of Rep, he was arrested and detained in this manner many times at Abuja. At least I'm aware, because I'm close to him. DSS arrested him many times, detained him for a very long time, released him. Those who sponsored terrorism to his house thought that they were, you know, doing him any evil. Today, Ikenga, the position Ikenga is occupying, even the committee he's presiding over in the House of Rep, because he passed through that path and he has shown himself. He has shown himself approved, publicly approved. Even those, the oppressors in the state, now respect him and they reckon with him. If you go to the House of Rep today, he is chairman, petroleum resources downstream. Those in APC are occupying non-entity positions. Are you following? So if you think you are doing not so any bad, you are not. Maybe God is preparing him for something great. That's the way I look at it. Nonso will definitely be out of that their illegal detention, and definitely he will reap the benefits of having passed through that path on behalf of the masses, because he's the container of the conscience of the masses.
Okay, as a follow-up too, I think the state government, in alignment with part of what he said, I think the state government does not also believe in the people, because if they do, picking up Nonsonkwa the way and manner they did, and at this time, we are talking about just few days to the election, to the governorship election. I mean, this should be the time the state governor should be very careful in every of his action, because the way and manner he was picked, and up until now, this is today. In fact, today is supposed to be the 33rd day of his detention, because yes, it happened on 27th of July. You know, so now keeping him, you know, despite the cause, the whoos and cries of the people, means that the government does not actually believe in the people. Because if they do, you will know, the state government will definitely know that it will have a way of affecting the masses' followership, the masses' support for the state government.
That is either way, but because don't also forget that those who are keeping him believe that he is a serious threat to their own image. Politically. Okay. Those who are keeping him, that is also what they are doing. Yes. Because they believe if they release Nonso, nobody can stop him from talking. Nonso is a born activist. And maybe that's why they are giving him this condition. Yeah, that's why they are giving him this condition. You know, so that he does not come out and start doing go back to what he was doing. Yes. They know they can't stop him from talking. He's a born activist. What I have noticed, the little I have noticed about him, there are people who it is in their blood to say the truth anywhere they see it. And I think Nonso is one of them. So they know that if they bring out Nonso today, Nonso will go back to radio studio and continue the good work he was doing. Because he was speaking for the masses. Yes. Whether those who arrested him and detained him know that or not, whether they agree or not, Nonso was speaking for the masses. What he was saying is what agitate the minds of Many of us.
Yes.
But he says it, and he says it the way it is.
Yes.
And the masses like it that way.
Yes. A friend of mine told me 2 days ago that if not for this Nonsonkwa saga, he wouldn't have known that Asare Dokubo boys are really working in Imo State.
Sure.
A lot of people wouldn't have known.
Yeah, that is the question I wanted to ask next. Baristoti, you see, one of the charges against Nonso is linked to Asare Dokubo, because he revealed eventually that he had a private militia or private security organization working for Imo, for some states, about 5 states, and he mentioned Imo as the government has not denied it or admitted it, and this is part of the issues why Nonso is detained. I don't know whether you want to say anything about that.
Well, that's why maybe some of them, they're interested in keeping him until after election. They know that if they have a good case of criminal libel against him, just bring him to court. Yeah. Profile your evidence, adduce your evidence. Because the law is about evidence, facts and the law. Once you bring evidence in tandem with facts, do you understand?
Prove your case.
You prove your case and judgment will be given. So if you say he has committed criminal libel, bring him to court. Let him have a day in court. Then you will be with him. Call their witnesses. Tender those SBs. Whether documentary, whether material or oral, tender them, adduce them in court, and prove the case of libel against him. Because I am also aware,
even charging him now is no longer libel, but cybercrime.
Maybe cyberbullying and all that. So I'm aware that even in libel, you see, libel in law, you say justification. Sorry, truth is a justification for libel. Are you following? If you steal and I say Afamechi is a thief, take me to court. At the end of the day, court will absorb. If I'm able to adduce the evidence of you are theft, you have been involved in theft or stealing. Do you understand? Court will simply set me free, will discharge me and acquit me, because I said the truth. So truth is a justification in libel. Maybe they now see it that if they pursue that one, Asare has admitted. It's a question of bringing the tape that where Asare granted interview, admitting that he has a militia in Imo State. That will rest the case, whether Nonso is saying the truth or not. In that aspect. So that is it. That's how these things work.
It's okay, gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming to the program. Barrister Mike, we appreciate it.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Always being here.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, viewers, this is where we round off the program, and we thank our guests. We've heard from them that Nonsonkwa's incarceration is being felt everywhere in Imo State. And one of my guests said he is paying a price, just like just like another activist paid the same price, and today he's
enjoying the position,
riding high in the national.
Enjoying it.
So, and they got us to know too that no one can stop Nonsonkwa from talking. And the authorities that have been spoken to, please, we want Nonsonkwa back, and that is the feeling of Imo masses. On this note, we say thank you for being part of the program. Until next time, my name again is Afan. Please remember to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube platform.